So now we're going to be doing power of x of n. So it will put 50, it's a medium. So we have to implement our own power function which calculates x raised to the power n, which is x power n. So the first thing which obviously comes to our mind is doing the brute force approach, which is big O of n, which is just multiplying x n times. So it's x to x into x, so on until n. Okay, so this is just big O of n, but this clearly will not work because if n is very large, it just won't work. It will give you a memory error because it will just overflow if you multiply x that many times. So our approach, the best possible approach to do this in log of n is something called binary exponentiation. How this basically works is, so if you have x bar n, right, what we can actually do is, see, if you think, if n is divisible by 2, okay, so let's take an example, 5 power 10, okay, power 10, we can write this as, we can write this as, see, 5 into 5 raised to 10 by 2, yes, which is 5 times 5 raised to 5, yes, and 10, yep. Or else if n is not divisible by 2, we can just write it as x times x to the power of n minus 1, yep. So in order to do this, actually we cannot be using double, because if n is negative, right, we have to, while calculating binary exponentiation, we have to change it to positive. See, if you see here, the range of double is actually from minus to something something, and it minus is till 648 and positive is still 647. So you should try to change this, right? If you get the least possible value, if you try to change this to positive, it will get an overflow error because it's only still 647. So in order to use that, we need to use long. So I'll show you how it is done. So just take an answer variable, okay, 1.0, and then we take temporary variable, which is long. We store the value of n with that, okay, and then we check if I told you, right, if this is negative, we have to convert it to positive. So we just check if temp is less than 0, we convert that to positive. So temp equal to minus 1 times temp, okay, so it's positive. So now we just check for temp while entering for temp. So as I've said, if temp, that is the current, if it is not divisible by 2, okay, this, if it gives 1, we need to write it here, but if this returns 1, we just answer equal to answer times x, okay, we just iterate, and then we decrement the value temp minus 1, okay. Otherwise you can just, as I told you here, right, in this step, this basically means, what it means is, if x is it's not divisible by 2, just write it as x into x to the power n minus 1. It's the same thing, just then decrement temp, okay. Temp is basically just correspondent with n minus 1, okay. Otherwise, if it is divisible by 2, okay, for example in 10 we have to x, it is 5, for example over here, we have to write it into 5 into 5, and then n becomes, which is temp in our case, it becomes divided by 2, okay. So x times x and temp equal to temp divided by 2, after we're done with this, finally we have to check if the input is given as negative, we have to change it to positive, right? So it is the same thing. 2 power minus 2 is 1 divided by 2 squared, right? So we just check if n is less than 0, answer equal to, you typecast it back to, since answer is took it as double, we have to typecast it back. So double of 1.0 divided by double of what? Answer. We just return the answer. Hopefully it works. Okay. Yep. So run through the code once more. So this is a binary exponentiation approach where if it's given in the form of x power n, for example, we take 5 to the power 10. If n is divisible by 2, we just can write it as 5 times 5 power 10 divided by 2, exponent divided by 2. Otherwise, or else we just multiply it with x into x minus 1. That is 5 to the power, let's say 3 is 3, and then we write it as 5 into 5 to the power 2. 5 to the power, in the loop while it is doing, it will execute this block now. So we just write this as 5 into 5 raised to 2 minus 1, 2 by 2, which is 1. Similarly, now this 1 is not divisible by 2, right? It will do this, x into x power minus 1. So this will be 5 into 5 power 0, which is, this returns 1 to 5. And then now we found the value of 5 power 3 is 5 into 1. Sorry. Thank you.